Okay, welcome back to the part 2 of the behind the scenes of the short film I just made, which is called Number 8. This is only a 3-minute short film. Please go watch the film before watching this behind the scenes. We just live in this time where the behind the scenes is more important than the film itself, and it's starting to get meta and weird. Please go watch it. It's in the link in the description below. It's only 3 minutes long. And feel free to go watch part 1 of the behind the scenes that just came out last week. That is also in the description below, so you can get a kind of idea on my approach of going into making this film. Whereas in this video, this is going to be more of a raw behind the scenes look of making the film, so you can see what it takes to produce and make one of these short films.
How does the Oh, I do see this one now. I couldn't even see that one before. That one didn't bother me though. Yeah. Dude,
Told you.
you're just like me. These things cost like $200. Someone will come to your house and replace it for you.
I'm too
You're like,
busy.
I'm buying tripods.
I'm too busy buying.
I'm buying lenses and new microphones.
Coffee production card.
Copy production.
Now this film was much simpler. It basically all takes place in one car and really only takes place in 2 locations. So we started out kind of in this land that my friend Cody let us borrow to film this, which gave us our first issue. How were we going to light out in the middle of nowhere? Which the solution to this always is a generator. Now ideally you get a Honda generator that is really quiet for filmmaking, but for the sake of this and just not spending much money, I bought just a little $400 2400 watt generator.
That's actually really quiet. Well, once we plug stuff in, it'll get louder.
That is correct, yes.
Which is more than enough to get something like this done. You just move the generator far away from where you are shooting. And then just run stingers to your lights. That way the sound isn't affected and you can still light what you need to out in an area where you do not have power. And 2400 watts is plenty because we didn't even use a 1200 watt. We were only using 2 Nanlite 720Bs, probably pretty much never at full power, and that would only draw 1400 watts even if we did. And then we ended up using battery powered tube lights for the rest of the shoot.
So it's kind of like headlights world, moonlight world. So I say we moonlight from over here, breaking that way, and we have headlights from there, breaking this way.
We were shooting this on my Red Monstro with the Thypoc cinema lenses. If you want to see how to mount the M-mount lenses on the camera, go check out my previous Superman video. Shooting this one 16:9 this time to have the biggest frame possible, just to kind of show off the environment. I really like to shoot widescreen, you know, the 2:3:5, 2:3:9 aspect ratio. But honestly, based on how TVs look and everything these days, I really just like the bigger format, the kind of larger frame size. And I thought that would really help too when shooting in a car, so we could see more and not have to go as wide and hold the tension by being on, you know, a little bit longer lenses than a wide lens, on more of a normal lens. So we got there earlier and I'm walking through here with the actor kind of giving him the lay of the land, blocking out the scene, which was crucial for this one because it's basically one long scene. That's really what you pull off in a 3-minute film. So it was just giving that direction to the actor and explaining what needed to be done and getting him used to doing his moves. That way we could execute them smoothly and in the same way each time. We were setting up shots in a way that was like, which where you're trying to get coverage for most of the scene for each setup. That way we had plenty of coverage in the edit. And still looking at the edit, I wish I could have got more shots in the end, and we still ended up shooting like 48 shots or something like that. Which seems like a lot of shots for a 3-minute short film. But that just seemed like something fun to do to show off, just to do storytelling in that way by having lots of shots to show it. We're trying to figure out how to light here before the sun goes down, get everything set up and ready to go. That way when the sun goes down, we're able just to pull the trigger. So everything's kind of set, and then once blue hour kind of comes in, we're able to start seeing some of the lighting affect the image on the camera. But what ended up actually happening was we shot the first shot, the first setup, a couple times, and we got that in the can, and then we realized later that we forgot to do a lighting gag. So we actually had to redo the lighting and reshoot those shots a couple more times very quickly, which wasn't so hard because we had already done them before and the actor knew what to do. Just one of those things, even when you plan everything accordingly, I had a shot list, I had storyboards, we had everything lined out, we still missed a beat, and that's just gonna happen sometimes and you have to pivot and go back and get it. So the sun is finally down and we're able to start shooting. We're adjusting lighting here. The approach to the lighting was needed the car headlights to be reflecting back onto the subject to light him while having some sort of moonlight in the background. In hindsight, this moonlight obviously could have looked better. It's maybe a little overdone, but you really want to be able to show that where we're at and that there is moonlight. That way, if we cut to an exterior, we can kind of justify some of the shots. Now, on a big Hollywood set, you'd be able to have a condor with lots of lights that you can put really high in the air and backlight everything and really light the entire area. Probably just cut that speed in half just to have it. And when you step out, I think like step all the way up. Now, sometimes it doesn't look natural, but it's really what we're used to when looking at a cinematic image and an image for a film. And the trick with that is contrast. Now, your eyes see basically black and white when you're actually looking at moonlight, but for video, it's just kind of common practice to have harsh shadows creating lots of black spots to really sell that it's nighttime. And then there are some areas that need to be illuminated so we can actually see something. And it's very widely acceptable, and your brain just goes, okay, sure, they're at night, even though there's plenty of lights in areas that wouldn't actually be there in reality. But the idea here was that we had two key lights, because at one point the headlights turn off in the film, and now we had to we lose our key light from the headlights, and now we have to have the moonlight be the key light. So it was a matter of balancing those two things at the exact same time.
That's 50.
Okay. You lied to me, right?
What?
Nothing.
I would never lie to you.
Okay, great. Go back to.
But you would just.
And what we screwed up the first time was we forgot to have some moonlight hitting the car when we shot the first couple shots. And so when we did turn off the lights, it just went dark, and that wasn't going to match the rest of the scene. So we had to redo that, making sure we had moonlight hitting the windshield. Supplementing everything else with tube lights. This wasn't my initial plan, but it really worked out. We put what we call a
P007,
which is just a white pool noodle. You put those on top of your tubes, and that just makes them instantly more soft, and you can just walk around with tubes and get lighting that way. And we actually gaffed these to the window, and that gave this really nice controlled lighting around the car that could push into the car without having harsh lights like from the 720 coming in, and without having to set up a piece of diffusion that, if you can see here, it's extremely windy. We were in a windstorm when we were filming this. It completely ruined the audio, and it made it really hard to do stuff like diffuse the light. So using the P007s, the pool noodles on top of the tubes, and then just gaffing the tubes and moving the tubes around came in super clutch, and it really worked with doing that. Honestly, we could have shot most of this like in a garage, but we thought being out there in the environment was just going to make things overall easier. And if we needed to shoot any wides or get out of the car or shoot anything that audibly could come up for me as a director, we could just do. So it just made sense to actually shoot it on location because we could.
Oh, yeah, you are.
Okay. What happened? Just making sure. We hit this branch. Yeah, I'm bleeding. Do you want that on camera? Yeah. Am I bleeding a little bit? Am I bleeding you?
A little bit. Right?
Tree got me.
Blood confirmed. Blood confirmed.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm also, for the cinematography nerds out there, I'm shooting with a really dark LUT, as I talk about doing a lot on this channel. What that allows you when you're shooting at night, you basically overlight. You have your LUT making you think that the image is really dark. And so you basically overexpose the whole image, but you keep your contrast ratios where you want them. This allowed for every single shot to be perfectly clean. I think there's only one shot in the whole film that has a little bit of noise in it, just because of how wide it was and where the lights were at.
How are you feeling?
Super excited.
But pretty much everything was 1 to 2 stops overexposed, even shooting at the 1600 ISO. And we shot pretty much everything at a T2.8 or a T2 to just give a little bit of, depth of field and texture, even on that full frame sensor. So, we're just punching him in the face with these lights.
That's really disappointing. That was so disappointing.
You can see in the short film, it really isn't as punchy as it might seem.
Oh man, I'm great. Ready for this first shot.
I didn't even hate on. How many have we got on this?
According to this list, we have absolutely none. in the back. Can. So we're working on kind of these 3 shots right now. But it's the first shot, it takes time.
So the first shot always takes the longest, so we took a very long time, probably over an hour, to really get the first shot right and blocked out and the lighting correct. But then once that's kind of going, once the machine is rolling, you snowball into the rest of the setup and you get to just start changing angles and adjust the tubes just a little bit to get each shot. It's getting deeper into the night now. The wind is picking up, but we're finally getting shots in the can, and that's what matters. Try to stay mostly on a 50mm for this. I did have to go to a 35 a couple times to get a little wider, but I thought the 50 would help us stay contained and tight inside the car, not letting too much of breathing room to happen, making us feel just a little bit more claustrophobic. I think in hindsight, I could have gone even longer on the lenses and it would have looked really nice, but I'm working with what I did and what my plan was. And that's why this is all a learning experience.
Okay, we're gonna do one more. Give me a little more scared on this one. And action. That was great. Just one more for safety.
One thing that was kind of an issue was my camera monitor was not fitting well inside the car and we had to flip it over. So you can see here Colton, the first AC, had to flip over his monitor because DJI, I don't know why, but the high bright monitor does not have a flip option in it. It says online in the menus it should be there, but mine does not have it, and I believe the firmware is up to date. Still worked, no problems. We just flipped it over on the hood and pulled focus that way.
Second dinosaur counter.
You lived through Jurassic Park 1, so you've been there.
You know, I thought I would be smart, shoot it all in one location inside of a car. I thought that would, I just tend to write cars in my films. I don't know why, but I do. I even wrote a whole feature about a car that hopefully one day I'll get to make. But it's actually really hard to film inside of a car. It's the smallest little space to put cameras, and we were just using my little shooting sack here. It's called a Bebop. There's obviously, like a Cine saddle or a sack, shoot sack, S-A-K-K. Not to be confused with my last name, Sakurai. And this made it really easy. Rather than using a tripod or something, we could just throw an Apple box in there and this sack and be able to adjust the camera quickly. You can see Kyle here doing a lighting gag. He's using the app, the Nanlite app, to be able to turn the lights on and off remotely from his phone. And we tried to get audio on all this, but it really didn't turn out well. The microphone that we were going to use, we forgot it, and then I had mine, which is a shotgun mic, but then the AD was like, use my little mic, and just because it was smaller, we thought it would work, but I think it was a super cardioid, and it just ended up picking up all the wind noise. Actually, you can even see some of the wind in the actor's hair in some of the shots, but don't look too closely because it might ruin the film. But there was just so much wind out there. Okay, so that's just like a quick rundown of the production of the first day. Coming up in the next episode, we are going to talk about some of the pickups we did.
Foley.
You watched my first video, I was talking about letting the shooting experience kind of breathe. Get some footage in the can, get it in the edit, and see what else you need. And so we were able to go back out a second day just with the skeleton crew and shoot more shots. We did some car driving shots here, you can see, with the red Komodo this time, which just dropped to $3,000 brand new. So everyone go out there and buy yourself a Global Shutter Red camera if you want, which is just crazy. I guess I'll never sell mine because it's not gonna be worth anything anyways. So in the next video, we're gonna talk about those pickup shots we got and also kind of break down some of the VFX shots and the lighting for the last scene of the film. So subscribe and stay tuned if you want to see that. I think the VFX breakdown could be pretty fun. I haven't really done something like that on the channel. And we'll get in there with Ryan Scott, who did the VFX, who did the dinosaur, see how that was kind of done and what his approach to was with that. So if you haven't watched the film, go check it out at the link in the description below. But before we go, I want to talk about the sponsor of this video, which is Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform to present your work online. Start a completely personalized website with Design Intelligence from Squarespace. Design Intelligence empowers anyone to build a beautiful, bespoke digital identity to use across your entire online presence. Maybe you want to start an online store to sell your photography or other products. Squarespace has the built-in functionality to get one of those up and running quickly, and I've actually been using Squarespace to run my online stores for almost a decade now. And of course, if you're like me, you're probably looking to build a portfolio, which Squarespace has tons of features for that very thing. You can even create private galleries for client work using these tools. And as you acquire work through your website, you can now collect payments using branded invoices, manage client info, feedback, and payment activity all in one place. So if you're looking for a home for your work, you can do that with Squarespace. Click the link in the description to get 10% off, and I want to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this video.